When Lilith, Adam's first wife, denied Adam's sexual advances in the Garden of Eden, she had to flee and was demonized in the Bible for centuries for acting on her right to jurisdict her own body. We are here today, realizing the reality that violating false conditioning has permeated our society and affected so many of us from all backgrounds, with all gender identities. Through experience or solidarity, we've gathered to honor the steps of reinstating our sense of security in the world and in free will. My name is Eden Shale, Eeden. I run Anthorna. I am a multidisciplinary artist and a healer. I'm also a survivor of domestic abuse and human sex trafficking. I'm here to liberate others by sharing my experience, which also in turn helps me heal. I'm also here to be of service in art and healing. I'm here to destigmatize and decolonize misconceptions about surviving abuse, neglect, and trafficking. Trauma in general, really. Through all of this, healing art saved my life, and I believe that it can also save others, can help others, can heal others. Personally, it offered me vocality when I was silenced, when expression is repressed, and there's a difference between silence and being silenced. Healing arts can also assist with the will to live through small to large, accessible and self-generated victories, being proud of what we made, where we've come from, what it took to get here. It also assists because creative life force inside of us always listens. Anytime that we want to make something, anytime that we want to push forward into our realities, there's always a conscience, there's always something animate inside that's hearing every thought that we have. And that in turn becomes art, or it becomes music, or it becomes poetry. Sensory immersion and presence with self is something that our culture avoids as much as possible. But these are things that are brought straight to our face when we choose to become creators, and when we're afraid to feel or to be in ourselves or with ourselves. This is something that can help us ground. Art and healing in tandem also becomes an outlet for emotional charge and the need to organize our conceptions. As humans, we feel drawn to compartmentalize, to apply logic to how we feel and why we feel it. But realistically, emotions are meant to be felt, not overanalyzed. They're meant to be experienced and given the room to be what they are. Creativity also offers everybody involved community, emphasis on unity, and familial support. For those like myself who have experienced the loss of family, or who have experienced isolation, the solidarity of arts can fill that void and even more. Being seen as who you are, not just what you seem to be, and being celebrated for what you bring forth, for what you contribute. When we are traumatized, we become creatively cut off in some form or another. The link to our will to live or be in ourselves is severed, and self-actualization feels moot or elusive. What that can look like is being drained or self-destructive, in constant pain or even numb. It can look like utter confusion. We can wonder, why me? And we can internalize what's happened to us, or why we aren't meeting certain expectations. But there is hope. Things can change. And I'm a living testament. I credit my persistence to harnessing creativity to persevere. So to bring you forth into that understanding, I want to do a brief meditation. And you can partake if you like. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Feel yourself in the solitude, in yourself, in the darkness, in the void, and see a bright envelope of light come to surround you like an egg. Breathe deep into this. Feel its solace and its comfort. You may immediately feel a pull to a certain body part or to some pain, but proceed in applying whatever protection you feel like you may need, knowing that you are protected, knowing that you can trust yourself. There's nothing within you to be afraid of. If anything uncomfortable resurfaces that is not you, you can set boundaries with it. I ask you to listen to your body, for they are waiting to speak to you. Our vessel on this earth is our very first compass. It's how we navigate. It's how we understand where we are, what we are, who we are, though we are so much more than that. Ask your body questions. Some may come to mind already. I'll give you some suggestions. The answers you may receive could be abstract. That's okay. This is creative healing after all. By all means, turn them into art, turn them into words, turn them into whatever interpretation feels best for you. Some questions you can ask your body. How can I articulate this experience? How can I offer you presence? How can I relieve the pressure? What changes need to be made? How do you express red flags to me? How do you express the signature of joy to me? What makes you feel safe? And how can I care for you? Your answers may be sensory. You may see them, you may feel them. There's no wrong way for them to come up. Thank your body internally for expressing to you, for bringing you here, for making it this far. Now bring your consciousness to your palms, your hands. And you can keep them still or move them over your body, using them to Send love to your feet, to your ankles, your shins and calves, your knees, your thighs and waist, stomach, sternum, chest, hands, forearms, elbows, shoulders, to your neck, and your head. Tell your body, I'm always here for you. And whenever you feel that resistance, remind your body, listen to your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now that we're in a receptive state, we're going to go through some communication structures. When we navigate this reality, our creativity, our healing ability, it all follows more or less the same pattern. There's an idea or an event that translates to an emotion, that translates to an action, that translates to consistency, and then you have a result, or you have a new habit, depending on what this is applied to. One of the things that you can apply this to is gratitude. I know that for some of you sounds like some mumbo jumbo, but the act of consistently offering gratitude to parts of your life creates new neural pathways in your brain and literally changes how you think for the better. It doesn't mean you need to bypass your emotions or not have your experiences, because those are part of the creative healing process too. But it is an ally, an asset. Another communication structure that we can use is going down a short list of, here's who I know that I am. Here's what I need right now. Here's what's challenging. How can I proceed? What's in my control? And who can help and how? You can use this as a journal prompt, as means to communicate to your friends or your loved ones. You can use it as a tarot card spread. Whatever adaptation feels right for you. It's okay to not know answers to these immediately. This is a non-linear process of identification and understanding. And that's our goal. How we follow down this path is called transmutation. What that means is alchemizing a challenge into an ally. It's not us being abuse apologists. It's making something useful or transformative from difficulty and trauma. It is the willingness to see the real feelings we have about a situation. It is not forcing forgiveness or positively bypassing. It is bringing something from one polarity to another and being present with it as it makes that change. It is knowing that it is natural for things to shift form. This is what we do when we turn an idea into a creation. And this is what we do when we turn pain into healing. I've heard before that anger can show someone's true mission or passion. Now, anger, when healthily managed, is a boundary or a defense. It is secondary to a wound or embarrassment or confusion. And it is setting something outward as that blockade so we feel protected. Now, how does that correlate to our passion, which is our purpose, our creative spark, what makes us excited? Well, what makes us the most angry is also what fuels us to change or to create. And how we do that is relevant to our unique talents, our skills, our enjoyments. So evaluate what makes you angry, why it makes you angry, where it's coming from. And through that, the first thing that you can transmute is that anger into your passion. For example, I'll use myself. What makes me so angry is to have been violated to a point that feels like it takes away my innocence. That it takes away my right to express myself, to have a childhood that is peaceful and supportive. So what that turns into is my passion being allowing myself to build situations of support, giving myself opportunities and teaching others to relate to their inner child through creativity, through healing, providing the chance for people to learn how to do differently, how to break the cycle, and to feel safe in sanctuary. I suggest you ask yourself, what makes you angry and how it correlates to your passion? Because the will to live is directly connected to feeling inspired. When you're inspired in the morning, you want to move forward. And inspiration and creativity is directly linked to a value system as well. When we think of values, we can also think of the belief systems and the conditioning that people have given us. A lot of that comes from parenting. And how does creativity relate to parenting? Sexuality. Creating a child is the most extreme form of creativity that humans possess. So when we talk about the value of sexuality, sexual expression, we're talking about preserving choice. And violation contorts choice. which conditions our systems against our birthright to create, our birthright to be connected, our birthright to express. It makes us traumatized, scared, jaded, and isolated, and it hurts our experience and willingness to connect with our intimate values. So this brings us to reparenting ourselves, working with our wounds, aka transmutation. It means connecting to the inner child who is really hurt, because it's the inner child who takes the deepest hit from any kind of violation. Reparenting means us showing ourselves that we are the most reliant people in our lives. And when we show up as the most reliant people in our lives, it becomes safer to know when other people are reliable. As I said, sexual essence creates children. So when we're talking about creative healing from sexual violence, the idea of reparenting is truly going back to the root. Some values of transmutation in creative healing that I want to talk about, and you can apply this to any creative or artistic or healing process that you have, however you interpret that. And it goes from the top of your head to the base of your spine, anchoring downward. Disassociation becomes connection. Being closed off and in denial becomes being perceptive to what's around you, to what you're connected to. Being silenced, making yourself smaller to fit in or different than you really are, putting on a mask, becomes being expressive. Expresses your truth, expresses what you're perceiving and receiving. Distrust becomes empowerment. It becomes a strength in allowing yourself to be vocal. Becomes trusting your truth, your feelings, your experience. Self-blame and premature forgiveness becomes encouragement. Becomes knowing our worth. It becomes standing up for ourselves and becoming our own greatest advocate. Repression becomes willingness, the desire to do what it takes to move forward. And unconscious fight or flight becomes safety, knowing that we will take care of ourselves, knowing we will look after ourselves, knowing that even in the most difficult situations, we will do the very best that we can to keep our inner child safe. We will look after our bodies to make sure that they are safe. We will create sanctuary and containment for ourselves to be who we truly are, so we can further expand. Now, these values are only a guide, and the value is in the experience of transmuting these. It is not saying that one expression or one experience or one emotion is right and the other is wrong. It is, again, taking yourself through the full spectrum of emotion, from one through the gray and to the other, knowing what it's like to make it to the other side. And when you fall back again, being able to know that there's something for you, that there's a baseline you've made for yourself. This is mental imprinting. This is us reprogramming ourselves. And when we're traumatized, we also become mentally imprinted. The body-to-mind relationship becomes fragmented. We are sometimes groomed by the people who have hurt us in them making us trust them. They may come to know private information about us. It also comes through in imprinting others, in grooming others. So someone who has violated us, who has hurt us, looks good to them. So they will defend them. Mental imprinting can come in the form of confirmation bias, and there's a difference between confirmation bias and synchronicity. Confirmation bias is navigating a reality based on a cold series of events rather than intuition, founded experience or research, and genuinely trusting your gut. A habit of mental imprinting can be avoidance or gaslighting, beating around the bush, disregarding the truth, blame shifting. It can look like the expectations of our childhood around closeness, teetering back and forth between abuse and neglect and love and apologies, never knowing when it's going to turn the dial. It can look like scapegoating or victim blaming, expecting things to fail, imposter or Stockholm syndrome. Now, there are endless solutions. You can make a list for yourself. But in terms of creative healing, I'm going to give you a few that I encourage you to nurture on your own path. Utilize your talents to break free, to change the cycle. If you are really good at one kind of illustration and you don't quite know how to express your feelings about what happened to you yet, for example, illustrate it out. Let that abstraction be your truth until you know what words equate it. I also suggest detaching from non-supporters, because that hatred or that denial is really never going to help. I suggest sitting with your pain so it doesn't fester in meditation or on a walk or letting yourself cry or playing or listening to music. Sitting with your pain if you're with your friends, being honest with them about what that means. I suggest body consciousness, being aware of your body, connecting to it, taking care of it, so you don't become removed from it. You can be innovative. Know that your process will change because you are changing. And continually ask yourself, does this resonate with me? If something that I suggested doesn't feel right, You have the power to find something that does. These are just tools to help you along the way. Use your discernment, which is something that's often misconstrued now. The word is easily thrown around, as is suspicion. But honing in on what that means to you. Again, does it resonate? Where? Why? How can you actualize that? Now, some very specific solutions that I especially suggest you make a list of. There are 3 of them. First, we have healing modalities. These are things that help us realign and recover. It may look like quantum healing. Examples of this can be Reiki, vibrational therapy. You can get a massage. You can go to therapy. The list goes on and on. Secondly, there are centering skills. Some people call this coping skills. But I feel like the goal is truly to bring us balance and catharsis, whether that be in our daily lives or when we're dealing with a crisis. It can look like taking a shower, blowing off steam, kickboxing. It can look like petting your cat or using a stress ball, journaling. And third, there's self-care, which we utilize to maintain our well-being. That can look like getting enough sleep, setting proper boundaries. It can look like solid hygiene, surrounding ourselves with people that we trust, looking for a solid rapport with them. Again, please expand on these ideologies. This is just a beginning of what I've learned, and there's more to come that I will share. Thank you for tuning in.